plant shade trees, design areas that would really encourage pedestrians to have a quality experience.
Some of the new features include ADA accessible ramps, curb extensions, and high visibility crosswalks.
Another aspect of safety that we're bringing to this project is putting in pedestrian lighting. So we're putting in 10 new pedestrian lights as well as 82 street lights, which will all be LED, so they'll be energy efficient.
Again, these improvements are being made here on Hollywood Boulevard between Gower Street and Western Avenue. They anticipate this project to be completed by the end of 2018. Hopes are similar improvements can then be made between Hollywood Boulevard and Santa Monica Boulevard. Reporting in Hollywood, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
LA may have collections, archives, and exhibits on its film industry, but something's been missing. Until now, a place to showcase every aspect of Hollywood filmmaking. Anna Marcos takes us on a tour of the future Academy Museum of Motion Pictures.
The grand vision of a museum to house all that Hollywood star-studded creativity called the movies has been years in the making. The public is getting its first sneak peek as the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures takes shape. Another reason to celebrate a new $50 million donation.
This, I hope, will become the kind of epicenter for the film world and film lovers from all over.
The blueprint is grand indeed. 6 floors of the old May Company building will be converted to showcase thousands of pieces from film technology, costume design, production, and more. The museum will also draw from the Academy's collection of 12 million photographs, 200,000 films, and 50,000 posters. How about some Dorothy Wizard of Oz shoes?
Hollywood is both a place and an idea. It's a physical neighborhood and an industry, but it's also some piece of magic that touches people everywhere in the world.
There's a Spielberg gallery and family area, education space, theaters, exhibition galleries, a tea room, an entire floor dedicated to a living history of Hollywood filmmaking. Oh, and a floor dedicated to the Oscar experience.
We have the Oscars experience, which allows visitors to walk the red carpet as if they're actually at the Academy Awards, and then to have the experience of going up on stage, holding a real Oscar, giving their acceptance speech, and having their photo taken.
Next door, a round sphere designed by architect Renzo Piano with an aerial viewing tower, rooftop terrace, and a mega theater.
What I love about it is Renzo has managed to create a new icon for the city. So I feel like the building will float. It's an amazing public gathering space.
The museum will share the block with LACMA, the LA County Museum of Arts, and the La Brea Tar Pits, which will soon turn this into a cultural mecca and arts destination. There's still $89 million to raise to reach a $388 million goal, but this Hollywood masterpiece already seems like a done deal. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The museum is set to open in 2019. And as the Academy Museum begins to take shape, major tax incentives are helping bring production back to LA. But it isn't just about production crews losing work. In fact, it's hit other areas in the entertainment industry as well. Rasha Goel has more on how LA film and TV musicians are trying to keep the score in California.
Ever think about how crucial music is to film and television? Well, so are those jobs. And with the issue of runaway scoring, these musicians and local supporters are out at LA City Hall with a Keeping the Score in California concert. The event is to help raise awareness on a new bill, AB 1300.
It's a music scoring tax credit bill, and the goal is to try and bring jobs back to California, jobs that we've lost to other places.
Those places include Britain, Australia, and New York. The new bill calls for a 30% credit to offset scoring expenses for movies shot outside of North America. Those movies which employ 35 or more musicians and complete at least 75% of the scoring in California.
We have an opportunity to not only employ those musicians who are here today, but for every musician that is here today, there are 1,000 in the pool of brilliant talent that are waiting to work.
And certainly those 800,000 workers, those 300 unions are going to be standing shoulder to shoulder with each and every one of you until we get what you came for. And that's a good, solid middle-class job that you can support your families on.
According to local musicians, movies provide a more stable source of income than television.
We want them to have good jobs, make a good living, and be able to just contribute as they do so richly to everything that happens in LA makes it such a great place to live.
She's my bed, after my bed.
AB 1300 is expected to be up for vote next year. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
It's a two-day festival that keeps people on their toes, and it keeps growing. Ana Marcos brings us more on the annual Latin Jazz and Music Festival put on by Councilmember Gil Cedillo and the Department of Cultural Affairs.
A little jazzy salsa, just the ticket to get everyone up and on the dance floor. Well, almost everyone. Jazz and salsa lovers got down at the 4th Annual Latin Jazz Music Festival in Council District 1.
They had some great rock and roll stuff with Latin feel, and that was pretty enjoyable. And all the women got out and they danced because the guys were a little backward about going on the floor, but it was a ball.
The party, hosted by Councilmember Gil Cedillo's office and the city. And there were some big headliners here, artists like Los Coyotes and Joe Baton.
We're very excited. We have several Grammy winners. Bring this music to the people, preserve a unique American art form, and free to the public.
For free, you can't beat it. I pay to see these people.
Maybe I'll discover some new artists today too, and I'll go see them again.
Since the beginning, the festival has been a huge success.
From the first year, we had under 1,000 people show up, which in the last couple of years has doubled. So today we're looking at about 3,000 people.
And it's the music that seems to keep bringing the people back. I'm Ana Marcos for LA This Week.
A total of 10 bands played over the two-day festival. An artist's vision is brought back to life as she shares LA's history through her artwork. But it hasn't been the easiest journey getting her work displayed in the City of Angels. Rasha Goel has more.
After 27 years, this landmark mural makes its way back to Union Station. LA History, a Mexican Perspective, created by artist Barbara Carrasco, is on display at Union Station, one of the few places in the city large enough to accommodate the 80-foot mural.
She helped to depict here behind us what Los Angeles and what it meant for her to see through that lens of suffering, oppression, and glory.
This is a historical mural. Every single thing in this mural is historically accurate.
The mural, created in 1981, contains 51 scenes depicting a chronological history of LA, emphasizing the experiences of marginalized groups. It captures the city's original native inhabitants through the 20th century, including her younger sister's image.
I'm really proud of my sister for doing this. It was a big struggle. She's very talented. And I just helped her a little bit. I posed for it.
This mural was last displayed here in 1990 and was censored for depicting the city's troubling history. The artist says it's been in storage and she's been trying to bring it back into the public view since then.
For example, they said the Japanese don't want to be reminded of such a negative part of their history, a dark chapter. And I said, well, none of you are Japanese. Let's go ask them.
The mural, which was created for the Los Angeles Bicentennial at the time, was then not shown and given a temporary display at the 1990 Los Angeles Festival. Officials feel it's especially relevant now, just as it was back then.
As we're going through all this strife in our country today, I think a lot of us here know that there's a lot of hurt, but there's also a lot of healing, and there's a lot of history.
From the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II to the Zoot Suit riots, all is shown through the unfolding of the woman's strands of hair.
This mural has survived attempts to erase the histories of people of color in Los Angeles, and it is still here today as a testament to those stories and the fact that they matter.
I can't even talk right now. I'm just excited. I'm very happy with all my friends and family being here.
Carrasco says it took her 8 months to complete the mural, but it's been quite the journey getting it to where it is now. But for now, she is overjoyed to finally be able to share this perspective with the world. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The mural will be on display at Union Station until October 22nd and then at La Plaza until February 28th of 2018. Hopes are to find a permanent home for it. Well, Mayor Eric Garcetti brings together community service providers to address our homeless crisis. A pilot program helps support local manufacturers, and the City of LA wants your input to help improve your neighborhood. All these stories in City Beat. To help guide neighborhood-based efforts to end homelessness, Mayor Eric Garcetti convened more than 300 neighborhood council members, homelessness liaisons, business leaders, and city commissioners to connect them with service providers on the front line of the crisis. As part of the Engage LA event hosted at Getty House, representatives of organizations including Lava May, Chrysalis, Downtown Women's Center, and others answered questions on how to support local efforts to guide Angelenos who are homeless to services and housing, transform empty lots into safe parking sites, and build temporary modular shelters.
Make the pledge with me that every day we will do something to make sure that we create more of those good news stories of people coming home or coming back, of finding each other, of looking out for one another, until we no longer have a single Angeleno who is unhoused in Los Angeles.
Mayor Eric Garcetti also launched LA Original, a pilot program of the Mayor's Fund of Los Angeles in partnership with the Mayor's Office of Economic Development to spotlight and support LA's creative economy and local manufacturers. LA Original includes a logo, promotional campaign, and line of products from local makers. The program's proceeds will support creative entrepreneurs across the city. LA Original has engaged over 20 companies and retailers that are making new creations for the LA Original line or merging existing products with the brand. The City of Los Angeles is asking for your help. By taking a 5-minute online survey, you can help the city decide where to spend millions of dollars to improve your neighborhood and community. These funds can be used to combat the most pressing issues in your community, like homelessness, the lack of decent parks, or affordable housing. Responses can be submitted until November 22nd. To take the survey, go to research.net/r/Los Angeles City Con Plan 2017. More fun than a barrel of monkeys are a pair of newborn primates, the first baby mandrills to be born at the LA Zoo in decades. Gil Reyes has more from the zoo. Gil.
Yana K., everybody at home, it's a very special day at your Los Angeles Zoo with the arrival of the first mandrills in over 40 years. Here are the proud mamas, Clementine and Juliet, with their newborns. Mandrills, by the way, are the largest of the monkey species. They're also among the most colorful.
Yes, we are very happy and excited to announce that we have 2 new mandrill babies. We have a little boy and a little girl, and this is a relatively new family.
L'Oreal Dunn from the LA Zoo says the new moms arrived from France just last year. They mated with the zoo's only male mandrill, Jabari, to produce the babies.
You will see the males have blue and red on their face. They're just super colorful, and that is to attract the ladies and say that I'm this beautiful, strong guy. I'm going to make, good babies. They're going to be strong and they're going to be healthy.
Mandrills come to us from the rainforests of Western Africa. Because they have tails, they're monkeys, not apes, and are the largest of monkeys at that, weighing around 80 pounds as adults.
Another really cool thing, you'll see them grab stuff and shove it all in their mouth, but they're not actually eating it all. They have what's called cheek pouches. So right on these sides, they can stuff all kinds of food in there. And then they'll go somewhere, hang out, sit, and then slowly start eating everything.
Mandrills are now endangered because of poaching and habitat loss. Eventually, zoo officials hope to breed more.
That's our goal, to save this beautiful planet and all the amazing species. So come see these beautiful babies, because they're amazing.
From your Los Angeles Zoo, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
To donate to the zoo's conservation causes and for more on zoo hours, exhibits, and special events, just visit lazoo.org. Well, show your community spirit by taking part in a peace march. Move to the beat of some Latin music during a family fun weekend event, and enjoy the fast-paced action of Red Bull Global Rallycross. All this in this week's Things to Do. Join community residents, activists, and Office of Councilmember Gil Cedillo in a March for Peace in Lincoln Heights. The march will be followed by a resource fair and free food. It starts on Saturday, October 14th at 9 a.m. at the Boys and Girls Club, located at 2635 Pasadena Avenue. Bring the family and celebrate the exhibit Cuba Is with a family fun weekend. Join the fun for a weekend of Cuban dance, group art activities, story time hosted by Books and Cookies, face painting by Rainbow Painted Smiles, and interactive Latin musical and dance performances. It all takes place Saturday, October 14th from 11 to 3 p.m. at Annenberg Space for Photography Skylight Studios, located at 10050 Constellation Boulevard. For some heart-pumping racing action, head out to the Red Bull Global Rallycross at the Port of LA. Join other racing fans for all-day racing action, exhibitor booths, awesome giveaways, and the stars and cars of Red Bull Global Rallycross. The event takes place at Port of Los Angeles at 3011 Minor Street. For details, visit redbullglobalrallycross.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Emergency, operator 271.
The city of Los Angeles receives over 2 million 911 calls every year. Hello, I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti.
I'm Chief Charlie Beck. A significant number of 911 calls are not emergencies.
911 should be used for emergency calls, such as preservation of life, a crime in progress, prevention of a crime, or a public hazard.
If your call is not an emergency, such as a loud party, verbal dispute, public nuisance, or lost or missing property, you can dial 1-877-ASK-LAPD to have the police respond.
Remember, call 1-877-ASK-LAPD for non-emergency calls.
Los Angeles Police Department, what are you reporting?
Hi, I'm Gina Ray, and this is my dog Whippet. We're from Winnetka. Get it, girl. You're watching LA City View, channel 35. This is our city and our channel.
Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson, 13 members present and the quorum, Madam President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Rodriguez moves and Mr. Koretz seconds.
Next is commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Buscaino moves and Mr. Weezer seconds. Next.
Madam President, items 1 through 10 are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports for items 8 and 9 have been submitted, posted, and circulated for Council's consideration.
Members, are there any specials, Mr. Weezer?
And item 1, it has some wrong information. I'd like to receive and file instead of approving it. Should we call it special or just make that amendment now?
Madam Clerk?
Amend it to receive and file item 1.
Madam President, that can be done now and as a separate vote. And also, Madam President, there's a request to hold item number 9 on the desk.
Okay, let's hold on item number 9.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and take the vote for item number 1 for Mr. Weezer. Okay, let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Let's go ahead and vote on the remaining balance. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Thank you. What's next?
Next, Madam President, are items 11 and 12, and those are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Without objection, those items are now before us. Madam Clerk, do we have cards on any of these items?
Yes, Madam President. There are cards on 11 as well as 12.
Members, do you have any specials? Mr. Harris-Dawson?
With?
8.
8.
Number 8, forthwith for Mr. Harris-Dawson. Any other specials, members? Mr. Weezer?
Forthwith, please.
Item number 10, forthwith for Mr. Weezer as well.
Madam President, that leaves council items called special or general public comment or presentations.
Mr. Koretz, we're ready for your presentation, sir, whenever you're ready.
Well, good morning, colleagues.
Please, let's give Mr. Koretz a big round of applause. He has a very special guest this morning in council. I'll let him do the introduction, but you can just feel the excitement in the room. Welcome.
Well, I have to admit I'm a little sleepy because it was hard for me to sleep knowing I was going to introduce my hero and Dodger icon, a man who is Dodger baseball and is the face of Dodger baseball, Tommy Lasorda, who is celebrating his 90th birthday. He hasn't just been a champion for the Dodgers in L.A., but he's been baseball's ambassador to the rest of the country and to the rest of the world. And just a few of the things that Tommy has done in his illustrious career. He managed the Dodgers for 20 years, and he was the 4th manager to do so in baseball history. He followed Walter Alston, and the two of them combined were Dodger managers for 42 years, which is otherwise unheard of. He had 1,599 wins, 8 National League West titles for his teams, 4 National League pennants, 2 World Series. Most notably the 1988 World Series, where they definitely didn't have the best team, but they had the team with the most heart. And I'm sure no one who has ever watched a Dodger game will fail to remember Kirk Gibson's limping out to the plate and hitting a home run when he was barely able to walk around the bases, although he got that adrenaline rush and actually ran around. I still have a ticket from the World Series myself, 1988, which I dug out of a drawer. He was twice voted Manager of the Year. He's been a general manager, vice president, special advisor to the Dodgers. He managed the 2000 Olympic team, which was sort of a team of cast-off major leaguers and upcoming minor leaguers, and was never expected to win, and also won that with a lot of heart. He's twice been the official ambassador to the world of the World Baseball Classic. His portrait hangs in the National Portrait Gallery in the Smithsonian. Talk about an icon. That certainly points to it. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1997. I believe he has been with the Dodgers for 69 years. And so when he had an earlier celebration with the Dodgers, what he wanted for his birthday, he said he wanted a World Series, and we are going to give it to him. But we're here today to tell you that the city of Los Angeles loves you, and we wish you happy birthday and congratulations on an amazing career. And now I'd like to ask another Dodger fan, our city attorney Mike Fewer, to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Paul. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to throw out the first pitch at a Dodgers game. That ball I gave to my dad, who was near the end of his life and unfortunately couldn't come to the game and was a huge baseball fan. The other ball, I got two, is this one, because if you're an elected official and you throw out the first pitch, it's a rookie move not to warm up before you got out onto the diamond. And so this is the ball I used to warm up. It happened that our honoree today was right there, sitting right next to the dugout, and I asked him if he could sign that ball. So that ball now sits prominently next to my desk, and it's a reminder about the character that Tommy Lasorda has displayed as the quintessential Dodger. In a world now that's looking for role models, leaders who have integrity, and the kinds of values that other people feel compelled to follow, Tommy Lasorda personifies what we want in a leader. And he was able to bring out the best in player after player, year after year, not just because he knew baseball, but because Tommy Lasorda knows people. And, I think of you in the same way that Los Angeles thinks of John Wooden, as an iconic coach who can tell a lot to all of us, not just about the sport, but about life. So it couldn't be a more fitting time for Mr. Koretz to ask you to join us today to be honored, not just because it's your birthday, but with the Dodgers on the precipice of doing such great things. So I also wanted to join Mr. Koretz with his beautiful presentation in honoring one of Los Angeles' greats, Tommy Lasorda. Tommy, thank you for everything you continue to do for all of us.
Thank you.
Madam President, I'm sure some of my colleagues would like to say something as well.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz, and we certainly do. We have Mr. Cedillo on the queue, followed by Mr. Buscaino. Mr. Cedillo?
Well, let me say what I'm very fond of saying for Tommy. Let's go Dodgers! Let's go Dodgers! Let's go Dodgers! Let's go Dodgers! One more time. Let's go Dodgers! Happy birthday, Tommy. I'm so excited for you. Of course, the Dodgers are my constituents. I'm very proud to work with them on a daily basis. It's one of the greatest organizations in the world. Operationally, they run like a great double play. They are a team and an organization that represents the entire community. They build their strength on diversity. They were the champions of changing the world by bringing Jackie Robinson in, and from that point moved on to become one of the greatest sports enterprises that the world has ever known. And much of that is a credit to you, Tommy. You've been the leader there, a constant for that team. I was so excited. When I first went to Cuba, I met one of your teammates and talked about you and the times that you played down there. You have always been there. You judge people by the content of their character and their ability to get on base and to make their plays. and that's all that matters to you. You've been a great leader, as our city attorney had mentioned. You're up there with the John Woodens of the world, because more than this just being about sports, it's about leadership, and it's about being a leader at all times, under all circumstances, and you've done that. So God bless you, Tommy. Happy birthday and 90 more. Let's get that World Series this year, huh?
Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Paul, for bringing in a legendary Los Angeles Dodger. Tommy, let me say how proud we are, especially in the Italian-American community. Just last night, we celebrated the Italian-American culture Heritage Month here in these chambers, and you were once a recipient of the Italian-American Spirit Award here in Los Angeles City. And let me say this, when my father took me to my first Dodger game in 1983, we sat in the right field pavilion, and he shared with me two Dodgers wearing a uniform, and two popular Dodgers, and they weren't players. And he said, son, you see the manager, Tommy Lasorda, is Italian, and the third base coach, Joey Amalfitano from San Pedro, is Italian. And that was my first introduction to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And you were a player's coach, Tommy. You were a player's coach because of your upbringing and as an Italian. You loved your players, you respected everyone, you fired everybody up, and you treated your players like your own family. And that was in your DNA because you were an Italian-American. And I'll end with this. I'll also remember and never forget the day when I was in 8th grade, 1988, when my cousin Peter took me to the celebration here at City Council on the South Lawn. And you were there, you hoisted up the championship trophy in 1988, and you said, how sweet it is to taste the fruits of victory. And let those words, hopefully we can repeat those words when the Los Angeles Dodgers brings that championship trophy here in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you, Tommy. Un bon compleanno, and we love you, and we thank you for your contributions, not only to the Italian-American community, but also to this great city. God bless you.
Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Madam President, and to everybody that's here today. We're honored to be in the presence of Mr. Lasorda, so we do want to wish you a very happy birthday, and we want to thank you for everything that you've done, not just for baseball, but everything that you've done for the city of Los Angeles. And Mr. Koretz, I want to make a quick request of you. Sitting to your right is Governor Choi. Governor Choi, all the way from Gangwon, Korea. I'd like for him to stand next to you, see if we can get a photo with the legend Tommy Lasorda, so that he can take that back to. So, Mr. Koretz, you're going to be on the front page of every newspaper in Korea. You and the greatest baseball man to ever walk the streets of Los Angeles. Let's give them all another round of applause.
Mr. Koretz.
And now it's my honor to present a certificate of appreciation to Tommy Lasorda.
Goes up at Dodger Stadium.
Thank you very much for the honor. I'm very, very pleased that I received it. I love the city. I've managed the Dodgers for 20 years. I've had great, great days, helped develop a lot of players, and had Rookies of the Year and Most Valuable Players. And I was proud to represent this greatest city in the United States of America, Los Angeles. And I'll always feel like I was born here, because when I moved out here from Pennsylvania, it's been about 60-some years ago, so I think I'm really an Angelino. Thank you for the honor, and may God bless each and every one of you. And if the Dodgers don't win this time, I think I'm going to kill myself.
Good to see you. Very good.
And Madam President, we might want to have the council come down and take
why don't we do that?
a photo, so maybe we can adjourn for a couple minutes. Or
Let's give Mr. Tommy Lasorda another big round of applause. Happy birthday, Tommy. Members, if we can please go ahead and form a circle behind the main table.
We got to have that parade. We got to have that parade.
Yep, we will.
Sure.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to move on to our second presentation. Mr. Weston, whenever you're ready.
Ah.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam President and members, and to all of the guests that are with us today. Let's give another round of applause for our Dodger great, Tommy Lasorda. I am honored today to join with our dear friend and colleague, David Ryu, and present to you a delegation from Gangwon Province in South Korea. We are joined today by the great governor, Governor Choi. Let's give Governor Choi a round of applause. They are visiting Los Angeles to participate in the 44th Korean Festival that began last night and will go through. We'll have a big parade tomorrow. It is a festival that was started many years ago so that our residents from the Korean community could not only stay in touch with their own Korean roots, but to also share their culture and other gifts with the rest of Los Angeles. What's so exciting, members, about standing next to this great governor is that he was instrumental in putting in the infrastructure for the city to host the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. So what we're going to do is learn what he did for his city to make sure that in 10 years from now, Los Angeles is definitely prepared to host the 2028 Summer Games. But with that, I would like for everybody to give another round of applause to this great delegation that stands beside me. Let's give them one more round of applause. And I also want to recognize that I have an honorary staff member with me today. Her name is Erica Wan. Her sister works for me. She's headed to UCLA. She had no idea that I was going to bring her up and put her on television, but I want you to give the cameras a good smile so that your mother and father can see you on television tonight. But it is now, members, one of the things that helps make this council complete is our diversity. And David has been just a welcome addition to the Los Angeles City Council. He has helped all of us, but he has really helped me unbelievably in the relationship building, cultivating a relationship even better with the Korean community. So it's my pleasure to present to you our colleague who's going to take the presentation from this point on, our own David Rue. So I'm sure David doesn't have to worry about mispronouncing the words and the names like I did. But Governor Choi is right? Governor Choi. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, David Rue.
Thank you, Council President Wesson, Governor Moon-sin Choi, and all the delegates from the Gangwon Province for joining us today here in Los Angeles City Hall. The 44th Annual Korean Festival is upon us, and with it, 4 days of festivities, food, and fun connecting Los Angeles to Korean life and culture. Southern California is home to nearly 300,000 Korean Americans, and we are all an integral thread in the fabric of the Los Angeles life and culture. Gangwon Province, much like California, has a rich land and beautiful mountains that extend to a limitless sea. Within Gangwon Province is the city of Pyeongchang, which, as we know, is hosting the next Winter Olympics next year. We wish them luck, and we cheer them on, and perhaps they can come back next year with some tips for our own Olympics that we're going to have in 28. But, you know, we share so much more in common. It's not just the Olympic ambitions, but Korea, like Los Angeles, is a capital for trade and for business. And like Seoul, we in Los Angeles are working hard to improve air quality and build a beautiful city. And we share similar challenges, and we both work for a peaceful and prosperous future. And may this Korean festival and the presence of so many dignitaries from Korea here today be the proof of our close relationship. And with that, I'd like to now introduce and welcome Governor Choi to give some free remarks.
Hello, great Los Angeles. Hello, respectable Los Angeles City Council President Herb Wesson. And hello, honorable City Council members. And hello, LA Dodgers, where Park Chan-ho played long time. Thank you. Congratulations. It's my great honor to have your precious time, and thank you for your hospitality. I'm from Pyeongchang. When you say Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games, I'm here to invite you to Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games and Paralympic Games. We have 4 months to go. Together with our invitation, I congratulate your host of 2028 Summer Olympic Games. Congratulations. 3 times in one city is a great achievement. Congratulations again. Pyeongchang is quite the opposite. Pyeongchang is the smallest host city in the history of all the Olympic Games. Pyeongchang is so small and not well known to you and to the world. So most of the foreigners, especially Westerners, confuse Pyeongchang with Pyongyang. It's terrible. Pyeongchang is different from Pyongyang, very different. Please do not confuse.
Yes, sir.
In fact, 3 years ago, when we hosted an international conference in Pyeongchang, a delegate from Kenya went to Pyongyang. His name was Daniel. When he arrived in Pyongyang, airport staff members asked him, "Who are you? And why are you here? And where is your visa?" He cannot answer at all. After all, North Korean soldiers rushed to the scene and questioned him for 5 hours. He was regarded as a spy. He got kicked out to Beijing after paying $500 for no visa entry. It's a real story. Please don't forget 5 hours interrogation and $500. I am a governor of a province which is called Gangwon Province. Pyeongchang is in our province. Our province is located in the middle of the Korean Peninsula. As you know, Korean Peninsula has been divided into two parts, North Korea and South Korea. And our province also divided into two parts. Half of our province belongs to North Korea, and the other half belongs to South Korea. This division, separation, makes many problems. The most significant problem is that there is another governor in the north. I don't like him. One province and two governors. The one and only case in the world. I proposed him to have a playoff, but no answer until now. Due to this location, our province had been battlefield during Korean War. Most of the American soldiers who died in Korean War died in our province. So young, so many. Until now, we are searching for their bodies and remains of the forgotten American heroes. But now, the American heroes' battlefield became Olympic venue. At the very battlefield where they lost their lives, we host the Olympic Games. So we think Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games owes to American soldiers and their sacrifices. Here, I express my deepest thanks to the Korean War heroes. Honorable Council members, recently, political conflict in Korean Peninsula is our last concern for the Olympics. However, we will do our best to make the Olympics as a momentum for the,
No, you're doing well. Just go ahead.
to settle peace in Korean Peninsula. Your visit will be very helpful. Please remember 9th of February next year. I want all of you to come to Pyeongchang, not Pyongyang. I'll wait for you. Honorable President Herb Weston and City Council members, thank you again, welcome again, and see you again. Thank you.
Governor Choi, thank you
Mr.
so very
Wu?
much. And yes, I know many of the council members want to go to the Winter Olympics next year, and we will make sure to call my office so you don't go to the North Korean capital of Pyongyang, but instead go to Pyeongchang, as expressed by Governor Choi. Thank you so much, and on behalf of the Los Angeles City Council, President Herb Wesson, and myself, we'd like to present a certificate of welcome to Governor Moon-Soon Choi, Governor of Gangwon Province.
Thank you. Gentlemen, we also have members on the queue that would like to speak as well.
Well, let us do one more.
Okay. And
never mind. We don't have any members on the queue. Go ahead.
And on this occasion, also present a certificate of welcome to the chairman of the Gangwon Federation of Economic Organizations, Mr. Choi Dong-jin.
고맙습니다. 최동진 회장님.
Thank you. Okay, this way, Dave?
Yes.
저기 가서.
We'll do it in the back. We do this. You want to do it in the back, or we can do it here? Okay. Or
Thank you very much. Welcome to Los Angeles, Governor.
The governor is also presenting us with these mascots.
And they gave it to every council member in the box.
Great. Thank you very much. What are their names?
여기 수호란, 반다비, 양궁 이름.
소란?
수호란, 호랑이.
수란 and 수호랑 and 반다비.
Are they a boy and a girl?
Yes.
Okay.
And 수호랑 is a lion, and 반다비 is a bear.
패럴림픽, 올림픽.
Is the woman the lion? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come on, go. Let's go.
Mr. Cedillo, I understand you want to make a special announcement. We have some special guests in the audience. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, members, in our never-ending effort to protect the quality of life of Southern California, the great city of Los Angeles, I have offered a resolution today to defend and extend the TPS program. That is the Temporary Protected Status. It's a program that's established for people who are fleeing wars or natural disasters. It is a program that legalizes on a temporary basis, but an ongoing basis, immigrants through, particularly here in Los Angeles, from El Salvador and Central America. I introduced that resolution today, and that resolution is being supported by much of the immigrant workforce represented by Unite Here, HERE, SCIU. There are also members from NDLON, the National Day Laborers Organizing, Hermandad Mexicana, Cadesta and Chirla. They are here today, this morning, to show their support for this resolution.
Thank you very much, and welcome members of Labor to our City Council. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Mr. Cedillo.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell, are you ready for your presentation?
Good, how are you? How's it going, man? Colleagues, Mr. Huizar and I would like to welcome everyone to Filipino-American History Month 2017. It's an opportunity in October to recognize the contributions of the Filipino-American community in Los Angeles, especially our outstanding Filipino-American city workforce, the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees, fondly known as La FACE, is part of this year's celebration as we commemorate their 35th anniversary. 35 years ago on Thursday, March 25th, 1982, 84 Filipino-American employees from various departments of the City of Los Angeles, spearheaded by Larry Rivera of the Community Development Department and Cress Abad of the Personnel Department convened at council chambers and unanimously approved the creation of an association that advocated for the Filipino-American city employees, now known as the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees. I am particularly proud to be here today as the representative of historic Filipino Town, a neighborhood that has been home to Filipinos since the 1940s and served as a gateway for many Filipino immigrants in Los Angeles. Today, Hi-Fi remains as the cultural heart of the Filipino-American community in Los Angeles, but they're giving us a run for their money in the Council District 14 these days. And a fellow colleague and I have the pleasure of representing this great community. As I mentioned, I would like to invite my colleague, Councilmember Huizar, to say a few words about these special honorees.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Farrell, and it's great to be here to celebrate October as Filipino-American History Month. And I want to welcome all our guests this morning and give special recognition to Ria Lazo and all our city family who are members of the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees. And council members, today we are joined by some incredible Filipino-Americans who have served not only as civil servants for the city of Los Angeles, but also as leaders of La Face. And we want to thank them for all the time and dedication they have put into representing La Face before, during, and after their time in office. So at this moment, I'd like to acknowledge and give a recognition to Eve Buranday, who served from 1984 to 1985. Congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Johnny Blanco, 1997 to 1988. There you go. Thank you so much. And Lina Partosa, 1996 to 1998. There you go. Thank you so much. La Face has been in existence for over 35 years, and here's to 35 more and then some. I want to thank you all for your distinguished service, and thank you for representing the Filipino-American community well, and thank you for representing the city of Los Angeles well. Last week, we were very proud to support LA's first Filipino food festival at the Eagle Rock Plaza called Eat, Play, Move. And tomorrow, Councilmember O'Farrell and I invite everyone to attend the 26th Annual Festival of Philippine Arts and Culture at Echo Park. And lastly, I just want to say that while we are in a very difficult time in our country when so many are struggling to understand one another, and particularly with the lack of leadership in Washington that seems more focused on demonizing people and promoting xenophobic culture that really does not reflect our values as Americans, here in the city of Los Angeles, we don't just talk about diversity, we live it every day. And it is an imperfect thing. We don't always get it right, but we embrace what it represents, and that is it represents the very best of our humanity, and so we need to actively seek it out. When days like this, when we as council members have the absolute pleasure to recognize, acknowledge, and completely embrace and support our Filipino community and all they mean to our great city, when we can stand before these good people and say, you bring immeasurable value to our city and to us as Angelinos and as Americans, that's a beautiful thing, and that's what makes Los Angeles so special because of its diversity. So we say thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations to our Filipino brothers and sisters for sharing their culture with us, and happy Filipino-American History Month.
Thank you. And I would now like to join Mr. Huizar in recognizing some of the other legends in La Face. I know that Ye Coronel wasn't able to be with us here today, so I would like to bring up Dili Villanueva. Daly. There you go. Thank you so much. And then I would also like to bring up Linda Granados.
Thank you.
Right there. We will also want to acknowledge Rainier Casis, Vice Consul of the Philippine Consulate General in Los Angeles. Rainier, right there. Welcome. Thank you. We'd also, I think that Commissioner Joel Jacinto is not here. I don't think he's here. But the first Filipino-American Public Works Commissioner, a real friend to the city of Los Angeles. Also, Abraham Lim, President of Los Angeles Makati Sister City Chapter. Is Abraham Lim here? No. And then Mary Grace Barrios, Vice President, Filipino-American, Los Angeles Democrats?
All right.
Here? All right. Well, we're recognizing them anyway. As Mr. Huizar mentioned, we have the Festival of Philippine Arts and Culture taking place Saturday, October 14th at Echo Park Lake. It's a wonderful, wonderful celebration. And here to say a few words, we have Ria Lazo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mitch. Good morning, Madam President and the rest of the City Council. I am honored to stand before you as the President of LaFace as we continue to provide a voice for Filipino-Americans in the city since 1982. Today, we come together to proclaim October as Filipino-American History Month and to honor LaFace's 35 years anniversary. It is my pleasure to honor numbers of our past presidents who are here today and who has helped shape Filipino-American history in Los Angeles through their impressive contributions in their various areas of expertise for our organization. Their leadership inspired and empowered young Filipino-Americans and other city employees, assisted with employment and promotion in civil service, and provided shining examples of strength in diversity. Our mission is not only to assist Filipino and other city employees with employment and promotion in civil service, but to assist in the economic, educational, and cultural advancement of Filipinos in the Los Angeles community. Thank you to our special guests and members for celebrating with us today. Thank you, Council Member O'Farrell and Council Member Jose Huizar, for your generous support and assistance in celebrating Filipino-American History Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have some members.
We have some members on the queue. Mr. Cedillo.
Well, congratulations, LaFace, although that is what they call a large section of my staff. I'd like to acknowledge the Filipino staff that I have. Mal Iloman has been with me since the first day I was elected. He helped shepherd the Filipino veterans legislation that ensures that Filipino veterans can receive benefits that were promised to them in World War II, and that is an ongoing program funded by the state of California. Thank you, Mel, for your leadership and for carrying LaFace. Of course, everyone knows Tony Ricasa. He's come back, former Chief of Staff for Mr. Huizar, Deputy Chief of Staff on my team, and we're very happy that he makes the trek every weekend from San Diego to Los Angeles to serve the city of Los Angeles. So thank you, Tony, for making that commitment. Where is he? Upstairs is, I believe, one of the best planners in the city, well-known, playing a great role in developing the new landscape of the First District, Gerald Gubatan. We call him GGG, and so he's with us. And then soon we will be joined shortly by Eduardo Soriano, known as Edo, and so that will make 4 people that I have in a small room in the corner of my office. We call it Little Manila. So that is our commitment, as you said, Mr. Huizar. It's not just talking about it, but it's about doing it each and every single day, making sure that that community is fully represented on our staff, our appointments, and all the things that we do to represent this incredible, vibrant, charming, hardworking, diligent community, the Filipino community. We thank you and we welcome you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Rue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to rise and in support and congratulate the Filipino-American community as we celebrate Filipino-American Heritage Month. And I just want to say I had the distinct privilege, along with Councilmember Huizar's staff, because historic Filipino town this past weekend moved to Eagle Rock, where there was the first to kick off the Filipino-American Heritage Month Eat, Play, Move festivities in Eagle Rock, where the Filipino-American community, I think they expected, they were shooting for 2,000, but over 13,000 Filipino-Americans came from all over the city, and for one day, Filipino Town was in Eagle Rock. And I really want to thank Councilman Huizar for doing that. And I was happy to be there to recognize and honor all the great contributions from the Filipino-American community. And as the only Asian American on the City Council, I feel akin, and I just want to really thank Councilmember Mitchell Farrell for being such a strong supporter and advocate of the Filipino community and historic Filipino town, and Councilman Huizar as well. So thank you so very much, and thank you for being here today.
So, colleagues, the Pride of Los Angeles on the 35th anniversary of the organization LaFace. And I have a couple of members on my staff as well. Gigi Galias, who is here, Angelo Yanko, who does legislative work on my behalf, the pride and joy of my team as well. So congratulations, LaFace.
Thank you.
Oh, let's step forward. I'm going to get here so we can get to see everyone. We're going to take a picture. There we go. Move that way. Hold it up there? Yeah. Perfect. You want to hold your photographer first right here? One here for me, ready? 1, 2.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This could end up on the cover of Vogue magazine. Oh. All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Huizar?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And it's really a great honor to have here with us today an individual who has done so much for the arts, artist himself, someone who has acknowledged the diversity of this great city by seeking out performances throughout the world to come to the city of LA to showcase themselves at grand performances here in downtown LA. He is not only someone who strongly believes in exposing the arts to more people, but who has done a lot of work either as an advocate, creating policy, bringing people together, creating new programs. He has done a number of things that have made Los Angeles, to continue to make Los Angeles one of the strongest advocates for the arts. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Michael Alexander. Let's give him a big round of applause. He is a visionary and creative leader who has brought the city of Los Angeles one of its most important annual cultural events, and that's grand performances here in downtown LA. He is retiring from his position as Executive Director of Grand Performances, and we have him here today to commend Michael for spending his entire career offering Californians, and especially Angelenos, access, advocacy, and opportunities to engage in the arts. And I want to welcome our guests who are here to acknowledge this special recognition and give special thanks to everyone who has been a part of Grand Performances, past, present, and future. And let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much to all the team. Michael worked for the Department of Cultural Affairs of the City of Los Angeles' Director of Performing Arts in the 1980s. It was there that he realized the need to create opportunities to gather people, showcase culture, and offer resources to artists of all walks of life. And he got one of his first starts at the Department of Recreation and Parks. And, we do a lot of things as elected officials, but he got me to wear a red nose at grand performances not too long ago, because he used to be a clown at Rec and Parks.
Put on the nose. Put on the nose.
Oh, this one doesn't fit.
Put on the nose. All right.
Pictures, please. I said at the event that was my Michael Dukakis moment, but
twice.
Twice. Well, with the city, Michael started a program that helped create and nourish art festivals. The results were transformative. He created the city's first Deaf Arts Festival, the city's first Black Choreographers Festival, a major Filipino arts festival, and a citywide poetry festival. And he created numerous others that reached out to a broader audience than what we expect in a city as diverse as ours. Michael went on to serve as the executive director of what became Grand Performances, a concert series at California Plaza. Through Michael's 27 years of leadership, they have set a new standard for offering free, inclusive programming in the city of Los Angeles. As Michael retires, I want to make sure we all understand what he did at Grand Performances, and that is this. He made sure the range of performers at Grand Performances reflected our city and our world. People felt welcomed. They felt part of the city. And the diversity that he actively sought out for 31 years has made for a richer and more authentic musical and artistic experience at the event and for the city of Los Angeles. Michael is first and foremost an artist and performer himself. He understands the incredible, if not impossible, journey an artist must undertake just to be heard or seen, let alone recognized. Through his work, both at Grand Performances, on the California Arts Council, and in the many leadership roles that he has held, Michael has addressed arts funding, live-work laws, touring, and other public policy issues that have improved opportunities for artists in the greater art community. I am so proud that Grand Performances has called downtown Los Angeles home for the past 3 decades, and I'm tremendously grateful to Michael Alexander for his years of dedication in making this cultural centerpiece possible. Ladies and gentlemen, before we introduce Michael, Danielle Brazel wanted to be here. She said she wouldn't miss it for the world. Our General Manager for Cultural Affairs Department, please welcome Danielle Brazel.
Thank you, Councilmember Huizar. And thank you to every member on City Council. Your work is so incredibly important for our city in serving the 4 million residents and the over 50 million visitors that come each and every year. And I just got to say that while I know that you are working on really tough challenges and fixing the challenges that our city is facing, the fact that you're taking the time out of your extremely busy day to do an equally important act, which is witnessing, which is bearing witness and acknowledging what's happening and what's happening that's so incredibly beautiful in our city, and that is the cultural vitality of our city. You acknowledged the Los Angeles Korean Festival today. You acknowledged the culture, our Dodger culture. You acknowledged the Filipino Festival and Filipino-American Heritage Month. And now we get to recognize one of the stalwart champions of arts and culture in our city, and that is veteran Mr. Michael Alexander, who is a true civic entrepreneur, someone who has been able to give back to the city that he was born into and has never stopped giving back. And one of the things that I think he did that was so incredibly important and successful is that Michael, through his leadership, grew a whole new generation of leadership. And the way in which we pass the torch in the arts community is incredibly special. It's incredibly nurturing. Culture is the tie that binds us. It's what binds community. And you know this on City Council, and I want to thank you for that support. And you, Michael Alexander, have exhibited this throughout your entire career. And as General Manager of the Department of Cultural Affairs, me and my staff, Ben Johnson, our new Director of the Performing Arts that's taking over and building on your legacy, I want to thank you for your service to the City of Los Angeles. And it is my great pleasure, because as I mentioned, we do pass the torch when we move on from executive directors. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce the extraordinary Mari Riddle, the new director of Grand Performances.
Good morning. Good morning, City Council, and good morning, Mr. President.
So Ben Johnson just inherited a legacy. I did too. And it is an amazing honor and an incredible responsibility to take on the torch and the work that Michael Alexander laid on in the city of Los Angeles, smack in downtown. Grand Performances inspires community, celebrates diversity, and unites Los Angeles through free access to global performing arts. That is the mission. That is what attracted me to put my hat in the ring, and I am so honored to be able to carry on his legacy. I want to thank the City of Los Angeles and especially the council member for your support, the Department of Cultural Affairs for being an amazing partner, and our new partnership with the Los Angeles World Airports. We are bringing musical performances to LAX for both the employees and also the people that are coming into our city as travelers or as visitors. So that's a wonderful thing that we're doing. I also want to thank especially our board members that are here. They're taking time out of their busy lives. So thank you, Howard, Jennifer, and Jan, for being here to witness this. And also, by special invitation, all city council members, if you've got the time, how many of you remember Sounds of Silence, Scarborough Fair, all of those incredible, I do. We are interviewing Art Garfunkel this evening. Whoa. Alex Cohen, interviewing Art Garfunkel. Grand Performances is the second city on his national tour where he's promoting his memoir. So we're going to be in conversation with Art Garfunkel this evening at 7:30. Please see me. We'd love you to come and be our guest this evening. Thank you very much, and thank you, Michael, for this incredible vote of confidence as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy to get to have Grand Performances go on for 31 years. It takes grit, it takes determination, it takes passion, it takes a lot of fundraising. Michael Alexander has done all that and then some. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Alexander.
Well, thank you very, very much for this recognition. And I'm surrounded both on this side of me and behind me by people who have made my job easier. And we are truly a product of the city of Los Angeles. And I want to acknowledge the important role that city policy has played. But I first want to thank many of you who have been over to Grand Performances and joined us on stage. Councilman Huizar has been there a number of times, a number of others, Councilman O'Farrell, Curran Price, Gil Cedillo, others have come as well, and I know you're all welcome, and it's a great opportunity to meet your constituents because Grand Performances audiences come from every single one of your districts. Grand Performances is proving that price is the barrier, that people of every socioeconomic group want the arts in their lives, that when they see their community represented on stage, it gives them a thrill, but it's also a testament to who we are as Angelinos, that the curiosity exists for us to come and see other cultures on stage. And our audiences are always a wonderful mix. And I keep, even though I retired in May, I came back to at least half the performances when I wasn't out of town. I got my first summer camping trips this year in over 31 years. But I've watched Los Angeles grow. Public policy has been making a big difference. It was the CRA and its recognition that Los Angeles, not being a headquarter city to the same degree as New York and many of the others, needed public policy to keep some money here, and the buildings at California Plaza will continue to support the Grand Performances program into the 2080s because of public policy that was led through the many offices based in this building here, and the City Council's support has been absolutely incredible. The way that you've grown the Cultural Affairs Department makes a big difference in every one of your districts, and it gives Grand Performances a chance to find the artists that are developing in those many districts and giving them a chance on the stage. Some of them are now appearing down at the airport as well. So I want to acknowledge the great work that Danielle and Ben are doing over at Cultural Affairs with all of their colleagues. I want to thank all of you. President Wesson, in the early 2000s, you appointed me to the California Arts Council when you were still Speaker of the Assembly, and I served there for 12 years. which was one of the most important volunteer activities I ever got a chance to do. And I thank you very, very much for that opportunity.
I got something right, okay? I got something right.
I'm sure you did many others too. But I just want to acknowledge again that the city has a long way to go still in helping get the arts where they belong. And it's been a great testament to the people of Los Angeles, too, that they come out and they support the arts, that foundations support rich people, poor people. We've had some of the people, when they see their artists on stage coming from some of the poorest communities, chase down the people who are collecting funds at the end of an evening to support what we do there. So I thank my colleagues. I'm trusting that Grand Performances is going to continue for at least another 31 years serving the people of Los Angeles, and I know that we've got a great deal of support right from this office, or this building itself. Thank you very, very much for this.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Michael, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, the City Council, our Mayor, and our Council President, we want to present this resolution to you, thanking you for your 31 years of service to Grand Performances and your service to the arts in general. You are a visionary. You had bands on your stage before they were Grammy nominated, like Oso Motley and others. We could say you discovered some of these, right? But at the same time, for myself personally, when I saw that you had banda music up there as well, I said, I know you're reaching out to all communities in the city of Los Angeles. Some of my favorite music as well. So congratulations. Thank you so much. The city is indebted to you for what you've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That we couldn't get anywhere if it wasn't for family, and I just want to acknowledge my wife for.
Let's give her a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Rue for an intro.
President, today is truly a day of diversity because if I could interject for a moment, colleagues, I'd like to welcome Mayor Shin Woo-chul from the Wando County of South Korea.
Let's give him a round of applause. Welcome, Mayor.
Wando County is in the southern portion of South Korea and is famous for Jeongjin, which was back in the day a major military headquarters established to combat pirates and protect Korea's trade routes of the sea. Wando County is also known for being the biggest producer and exporter of green laver, also known as seaweed snacks, where they export over 2.3 million tons to the United States, Japan, and Taiwan. Mayor Shin is visiting us today for his first time in these chambers, where he is the guest of the Korean American Economic Development Center and our very own past honoree and pillar in the Korean American community, Dr. Mike Hong, for their Wando economic event later today. I'd like to present the Certificate of Friendship to Mayor Shin for his continued partnership with the Korean American community of Los Angeles and wish him a successful event and an eventful stay. So on behalf of the Los Angeles City Council, I'd like to present this to the mayor. And Herb, the mayor would like to say a quick few words.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
여러분 반갑습니다. 저는 대한민국 최남단에 위치한 완도군의 군정을 맡고 있는 군수 신우철입니다.
He is welcome to be here, and he is the mayor of the most southern point in South Korea.
먼저 오늘 이렇게 로스앤젤레스에 명예 시민증을 받게 된 것을 무한한 영광으로 생각합니다.
He is so honored and privileged that he could receive such a certificate and be honored by the Los Angeles City Council.
오늘 이 영광스러운 명예 시민증을 받았으니 이제 로스앤젤레스와 완도군과 로스앤젤레스가 서로 상생하는 그런 기회가 될 수 있도록 열심히 노력하도록 하겠습니다.
And he just wants to again thank the Los Angeles City Council, and he takes this recognition today as an opportunity to continue building our friendship and economic ties together with the city of Los Angeles.
오늘 그리고 이런 영광스러운 시민증을 주신 허브 웨슨 의장님과 데이비드 루 의원님을 비롯한 15분의 의원님들께 감사의 말씀을 드립니다.
And again, he just wants to really thank the entire City Council, and in particular, Council President Herb Wesson and myself for bringing him today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to thank the mayor for using very simple words so I could translate properly. So thank you.
Thank you. And as Mayor, enjoy your stay. And Dr. Hong, it's always a pleasure to see you. Okay. Ms. Martinez, you want to deal with item 9?
Mr. President, colleagues, I just want to take the opportunity to thank my colleagues on the Housing Committee. This week they did something tremendous in regards to putting out an RFP to be able to open 4 additional domestic violence shelters, 2 of which will be dedicated to victims of human trafficking. And I want to thank Mr. Cedillo and his entire staff for making this process incredibly smooth. I also want to take the opportunity, I think they're here, our Housing and Community Investment Department, HD. I want Abigail Marquez to please stand up. Thank you very, very much for all your tremendous support and help in making sure this happens. And I also want to give a big thank you to Mr. Cervantes. I don't know if he's in the audience or not. And also Curtis Watts, who's a member of your team. And especially Eve Sheedy, who is the Domestic Violence Task Force representative, for her tremendous support in making sure that victims of human trafficking and the lack of shelter and beds for these victims was being addressed in this RFP as well. On any given day, you have approximately 10,000 women who are victims of human trafficking. And today, by making sure this RFP moves forward, we're going to be ensuring that women who are victims of human trafficking are no longer victims but survivors. Thank you very much, colleagues. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Abigail, let's give her a round of applause for you and all the hard work of your team. So on that, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, will you pull up Mr. Walsh, John Walsh on the screen? Mr. Walsh, 11A, B, 12A, and general public comment. Mr. Walsh? John Walsh? I see you. Come on down.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. And number 11, rent escrow account program. You're doing a good job. I know it drives you crazy when I compliment you, but I'm not like these people up here. These white people say, you're all a bunch of... And number 11, and then number 12A, that's actually in the meeting. These are the final maps. Check those maps out, because what they do is they change your zoning, especially if your skin is black. And I had to know because my skin's white. And everything that's done in this city is done for people with this color skin. And if what they're going to do here is that the council districts, they change the zoning, and then all of a sudden you got a nice little black house, and all of a sudden they're building a high-rise, and there won't be any black people living in those high-rises because your black people up here sell your ass out. They sell your ass out for their own white ass. And you can have the seconds for, I don't need them. Mike Bonin, we are recalling you. We've raised $80,000.
Wait a minute, Mr. Sharon. Give him his 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay. Mike, I couldn't believe Mike Fewer. He looks terrible. He must have lost about 40 pounds. What is it? What? He's not going to tell us, but he looks seriously ill. Take a good look at Mike Fewer. He's lost about 30 or 40 pounds. And now all of a sudden we find out that Weezar's wife is going to run for city council. That's so she can sit in the same seat and fuck anybody she wants the way he did for 12 years. This gives her a chance to cheat on him.
No, you got to speak on something that the city has some jurisdiction over. No, we don't, Mr. Walsh. No, you want me to just shut you down, I'll do it. You want the rest of your time, then go ahead. You got to talk about something that the city has some control with.
Fuck your mother.
No, Mr. Walsh, why don't you go sit down? Okay, so who else do I have? Give him a net. Mr. Walsh, you want to leave? Disrupt the meeting again, and you will. Do we have Mr. Previn? Give me, okay, 11A, B, 12A, and general public comment, Mr. Previn.
Thank you, sir. It's Eric Previn from CD2 or Studio City, and 11A and B are both REAP items. You've put the REAP item on the agenda today, and one thing that people know is that you've asked Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, sometimes known as SAGE, to give an advisory opinion about whether or not the department's completed the work. This is, to refresh your memory, landlords get into trouble, renters complain, city puts a lien on the landlord, gets them to help out. Not a lien, but they make them pay through the city, so the city gets a little vig there. And SAGE are your treasured partners. I think Mr. Price will remember that these are the folks who got triple the affordable housing from the REEF folks. They had a 1,500 or 1,400 unit project. They got the increase they announced 25 to 70. So this is a big inventory increase. But it's not enough, obviously. It's not triple. It's 70. If they had triple, it'd be 75. So they shouldn't announce that it's triple. And they ought to do a better job because these guys have been fighting these very same important issues since 1996. So when we push the money into a group like that, who just kind of, it worries me that this is a group that's feeding right very close to the trough here. It upsets me as well because I know that we're not doing nearly enough, but we're busy congratulating one another all the time down here, and it pisses me off, quite frankly. And Wells Fargo, I will say this, sir, they cannot hang a banner at Taste of Soul. So I want you to call Mr. Bakewell and say, we're not to have Wells
You're
Fargo.
not on the subject. Come on.
I feel that's...
You're not on the subject.
All right, well, I'll go back
you
to
want
the
to talk
subject.
about that?
I'll go back to SAGE, which is the group working at the REIT. And one of the things they are doing, which I guess is appropriate, is that down at USC, a lot of people were applying for these affordable units, but they weren't considering their parents' income. So these USC kids were coming and getting this. So they've tried to hold the line there by requiring that the parents also disclose, that the students who are applying for these needy things. Here's an example of how we kind of get fleeced over here in the public. We think everybody's helping us out,
Give
but
him
they're
his
not.
1 minute for general public comment, please.
Turn the microphone on, sir. Thank you. The 1 minute for general public comment. I just want to be brief. We've got a lot of people looking away from problems in America and Hollywood. We've got this Weinstein scandal about harassment. It's painful. It's painful to see how many people every day in Hollywood were forced to endure that. We all know that things like that happen. And I ask this city council whether or not they feel the same way when I keep coming over and saying, hey, there's a special meeting on the agenda. There's been 2 changes, substantial changes for item 13 on Vision Zero and item 14 on Mr. Englander's nose under the tent against First Amendment people. I don't feel that this body full of city employees who are intelligent and smart want to look away from this constant violation. And why do I appear the size of hashtag Blumenfield's nose? Let's ask your constituents, sir, and let's ask all the honest brokers here in City Hall why they're tolerating this year after year when it's just an absolute abject violation of the rights of individuals who participate in local government. And I would ask you to change it forthwith.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now if you could pull up Mr. Herman. Okay, 11A and 12A and general public comment. So that means Mr. Herman gets 2 minutes on the items and 1 minute general public comment. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, in light of the resolutions of relative removing various properties from the rent escrow account program, I'd like to say you're doing a very good job with that. You know, people can't live in their homes and they need the support of the city. Like the Red Chief Michael Hung, who for 5 years hasn't been able to be paid so he can pay for his rent. And in regards to how to adopt the accompanying resolutions under, it's called REAP, but I usually call it RAPE, in as much as the owners have satisfied their obligation and they're applying the rules of quorum to their own agenda, which is rent escrow. And then I go into the next item, which was item 12, sir, which, it's 10, 11, 12, maps. Hollywood Highland, John Walsh is always right when he talks about maps and rezoning. You know, the majority of us can believe this or not. When they made all these rezone changes, they brought enforcement with it. So what does it mean? It means that your representative no longer is the same representative, and that was the reason why Tom LaBonge burned all his files. Yeah, he just burned them. And so when it comes to final maps in various council districts, as a reminder to adopt the city engineer reports as detailed in the so-called maps, 42 U.S.C. 1983, on behalf of public's interest and politically correct, fuck you.
Just give him his 1 minute.
City Hall have forced the will to live with me, simply more to give. There is nothing more for me. We need the end to set my demise. Darkness replied, the will to live. Darkness cut my sleep. I live in complete depression. The mind, I can't live, I cannot die. Then I say, take my sleep, take my speech, take my civil liberty. I might as well die. Take my mind, take my seat. Escort John Walsh out the door for saying, fuck my mom. But what's left with me in censorship is hell. Darkness replaced my sleep. Darkness cut my rest. I live in complete death. I cannot die. I live. Fuck you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I think it's Alex. Could you pull that person up on my screen, please? You have item 11A and general public comment. Please stay on the item 11A.
Hello, good morning. So here's the thing. We want our laws to be upheld. We don't want illegal aliens.
No, you're not on the item. You want to just go to your general public comment, then you can speak more freely. Give him his general public comment for 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so we want our laws upheld. We want our President Trump respected. You know, the laws. You know, we have a lot of homeless in the streets here, and, you know, we want all this, you know, respected. It's really not right to have illegals having these street vending items, you know, on the streets selling these things and all this. It's a very big public safety issue to have illegal aliens. If they have to come here legally, not illegally and break the law. It's very important for our laws to be upheld. That's why we're a great country. You know, and we don't want this brown supremacy. You know, they want everything for the brown race and they want nothing for anybody else. We as Americans, we accept everybody who is American. So that really has to go. These illegal aliens, they need to be sent back to their proper places, and our laws and Constitution need to be upheld. God bless Donald Trump, God bless Mike Pence, and God bless Jeff Sessions.
Okay, Fernando, do we have a Fernando here? Your time's up, sir, so you can move on. Fernando has item 11A and general public comment.
I just want to say, God bless Donald Trump.
Okay, wait. Let's give him 1 minute for his general public comment. He's not here to speak on 11A. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so God bless Donald Trump for all the arrests he's done on pedophiles and all the human trafficking. And I want to ask Garcetti to stop making money out of homeless and mental ill. We know he's behind all of that. And all his skeletons are going to start coming out. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. There's someone here named Greg. Greg, come forward. And Greg, you're on items 11A and 12A. Or do you
Thank
just
you.
want to speak on general public comment?
Sir, I'm just going to speak on general public
Okay, then
comment.
give him his 1
My
minute.
name is
Go
Greg
ahead.
Suska. I reside in Los Angeles all my life. I am appalled at the street at Alvarado and 6th where we've allowed street vendors to serve food, and the food is, of course, not to the standards that city code enforcement has laid out. This food is coming tainted, getting people sick, and at the same time, I can't walk on my sidewalks. Isn't anybody concerned that we can't walk on the sidewalks and that these people provide not the standards that we make everybody else apply to? If you're a restaurant, you have to have public restrooms. They don't have public restrooms. Unfortunately, they urinate and defecate right in the street, and then they serve the food. Now, I'm concerned about this, and I wish somebody here who is concerned with it as well, and to start something to try and clear the streets of Alvarado from vendors like that.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, let's vote on items 11 and 12. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Let's send item 9 forthwith. And Madam Clerk, why don't you recess the regular meeting and let's move into the special?
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Harris Dawson,
we have two
Weezer,
items
Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson.
And there's no
14
cards
members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it's my understanding that item 14 is going to be continued or was continued, or it should be to...
October 17th, sir.
Yes, okay. And now that brings us to item 13. There are no speakers on the queue. Oh, there is. I'm sorry. Mr. Bonin?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. There's a number of different committee reports, so we need to pick one. So, colleagues, for those of you who remember during this year's budget deliberation, we spent a lot of time talking about street reconstruction and Vision Zero, and the will of the council was to tell the CAO, the CLA, BOE, DOT, and Bureau of Street Services to come together and figure out how to way to maximize or dovetail our two urgent priorities to fix our streets and to address the traffic safety issues epidemic on our streets. And so they have come back with their first report and a list of projects that addresses our equity concerns and addresses the other two imperatives that I talked about. The list, we need to submit a list to the California Transportation Commission by Monday, our first list for the SB1 funds. We can change the list later, and we can change things in subsequent years. So there are 3 different committee reports. This was heard by Public Works, by PAW, and by Transportation Committee. It was heard by Transportation Committee last. So the Transportation Committee report adopts the recommendations of the other 2 reports, adds a couple other recommendations that were made by council members for additional report backs in 30 days on traffic signals and street lighting and signage, and makes one change, which is it asks those 5 departments that we just mentioned to give us options in 30 days on what the various different oversight models would be, so that we have the maximum ability to weigh in on the projects in our districts that we care about. So I would move the Transportation Committee report.
Thank you. Mr. Krikorian?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to ask staff to come to the table, please. And as they're coming up, I appreciate the work that Mr. Bonin did together with a number of others of us on the Budget Committee last year as we tried to hobble together some way to prioritize where these limited funds could best be spent for the maximum public safety benefit. And that is an ongoing challenge that our city will face in an era of limited resources when we don't have enough to be able to pay for every safety improvement that we would want to embark upon. We do have to have some process for prioritization. And as we've seen in recent months here in Council, there are traffic safety risks to drivers of cars, to riders of bicycles, to pedestrians that involve a greater range of risks than street design alone. Street condition has clearly been demonstrated to be another very significant factor contributing to serious injury and death on our streets. So figuring out how we strike that balance is a challenge that these departments face. It's a challenge that we all face. So I'm going to ask staff to kind of walk us through how the prioritization process has happened. I'm going to ask for additional data and information relating to this. I am going to support these recommendations because of the urgency of it. The fact that we have to submit this within a matter of days doesn't afford us the luxury that I would prefer that we would have to have a deeper discussion here in the Council about the data supporting each one of these specific projects. We don't have that luxury. I wish we did, because we are the policymakers that have to make those decisions and appropriate those funds. And we're frankly doing it without the tools that we need, I think, to make a thoughtful decision. That being said, we have to do that to get so that we don't lose these funding opportunities. So I'd like to ask staff to walk through the prioritization, and in particular how the priority corridors were selected among the high injury network, how these projects were selected among the priority corridors. But I also want to add one other element, and I don't expect an answer on this today. That's going to be part of the report back. But and I guess this is more of a statement than a comment. But we've seen how when we move forward with complete streets programs, that means different things to different people, and it creates, as Ms. Reynolds very well knows, the battle over territory within the public right-of-way. And it gets ludicrously politicized and immediately politicized to the point that our colleagues, members around this horseshoe, get unfairly targeted by some advocacy group on one side or the other of this equation, no matter what we do. And people who are trying to make thoughtful, intelligent decisions about keeping people alive are punished for it on one side or the other of this ludicrous political debate. And we have right now people on both sides of that issue who are being unfairly targeted because of their attempts to try to take an active role in making our city safer. So the only solution to that, from my perspective, is to depoliticize these issues by relying on data. Very clear, provable data that demonstrates safety outcomes. Not relating to mobility, not relating to encourage other policies we want, but spending money based on data that demonstrates lives will be saved. That's what I want to have come out of this. And Vision Zero is based on this foundation. This is the whole premise of Vision Zero. But frankly, we haven't seen that developed in the way that will be persuasive, I think, to us or to the public, so that the public knows that when disruptions happen, it's to save lives. When investment is made, it will maximize the number of lives saved for dollars spent. So the way we get to that is by not just picking priority corridors, but by identifying the very mitigations necessary to prevent the very risks that are presented on those priority corridors. And it isn't always road diets. It isn't always, reducing speed. Most of the time it is. Not always. In my own district, I have a priority corridor in which the majority of the serious injuries and deaths happened at 3 intersections. Now that tells me I've got to fix those intersections. It doesn't tell me that I need a road diet. It tells me I need to fix those intersections. So we have to get to the point, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to speechify this quite so much, but because I am going to support this, but I do think that it's incumbent upon the city, and it's of great benefit to the people who make the policy and appropriate the money for this city, to ensure ourselves that when we take dramatic, important steps in reconfiguring our streets, that those dramatic steps are directly related to addressing specific life-endangering conditions on that street. That's where I want to see us get to, and that's the kind of data that I think we need to better develop. So I'd like to ask staff to talk about the prioritization so far, and then I'm going to, when you're done, I'm going to ask for a report back as an amendment to this proposal.
So I'll start. Thank you, Councilman Salida Reynolds, General Manager, LADOT. I'll give a sense of how we picked the high injury network and how we picked the priority corridors. And Los Angeles is not the only Vision Zero city in the United States, and we participate in a network of cities who are all struggling and wrestling with these same questions. How do we actually come up with a list of capital projects that gets us closer to zero? So I also sit on the National Academy of Sciences Pedestrian Committee, the Bicycle Committee, the Safety Committee. So really, we drew upon national best practices and things that have been developed and sort of a shared best practice among cities in, first of all, identifying the high injury network. And the way that we do that is that we take 5 years worth of crash data that we get from the state. So LAPD takes the data, they send it to the state scrubs it, it comes back. We look at all of those crashes and we associate each of them with a corridor and an intersection. And then we apply a weight to each of those crashes depending on the severity. Was it a visible sign of injury, severe injury, or a fatality? We look at where those crashes line up and we create sort of the corridors from seeing patterns, right? So there are some outliers. There are intersections in certain parts of the city that are sort of on their own, but most of these things fall into a pattern. So, and a lot of them sort of align with where you have a lot of activity, where you have big volume, higher speed streets, lots of people taking transit, lots of people biking, lots of people walking. There's just a lot of turbulence. And so that leads to a lot of conflicts, which unfortunately eventually sometimes leads to severe and fatal crashes. So that's how we came up with the Vision Zero, with the high injury network. So, and we did rely on about 43 different data sets for that work. That's up on the GeoHub. It's also up on our Vision Zero website. We sent that around for feedback from the Vision Zero Alliance, which is a coalition of nonprofits, including AARP, Trust South LA, and others, for their feedback and input. When it came, just taking 7,500 miles of streets and getting it down to 460 miles that we want to focus on is nice, but we still don't have 460 miles worth of resources. So we needed to prioritize further. Where are we going to go first? So what we looked at were several different criteria, including raw numbers. Where are the numbers the highest? Where are the highest number of people getting injured and killed? Second, where are children and older adults overrepresented in those severe and fatal crashes? And third, looking at the Community Health Atlas, where there are other negative public health outcomes. We also offered a few other criteria, and we did outreach to get input on what people wanted to see. So we did outreach to the Vision Zero Alliance. We did outreach to various community groups. We put that out online. We got over 500 responses about which 3 criteria people thought were the most compelling, and those were the 3 that I outlined. So we we screened the entire high injury network for those 3 to come up with these 40. Now, this is the first 40. Right? Vision Zero is new in Los Angeles. We are writing the playbook as we speak. So as we update this, because it's a living map and we're getting ready to issue an update of the high injury network and a year 2 list of projects that we want to focus on, input from this council, community groups is welcome. This is meant to be a living thing. It's not static. Because hopefully we're taking streets off the high injury network. So it changes as more data becomes available. So we look at those 40 streets, and we brought in teams of engineers from all around LADOT, and we had an analysis and a lit review done of which countermeasures match with which crashes. Federal Highways puts out the Highway Safety Manual, which actually includes what's called a crash reduction factor for everything in the toolkit. So if you put a median island in, for example, based on the research and the literature and sort of what the Highway Safety Manual says, you should expect a 55% decrease in severe and fatal crashes at that location. So our practice was to look at all of the crash diagrams, identify those patterns, and match the countermeasure with the problem to sort of, give our best engineering and planning judgment to the kinds of interventions and treatments that we thought would actually result in real safety outcomes. So that's sort of how we got to the list of 40 and how we developed for every single corridor a detailed map of all of that data. So where are the crashes, where are they concentrated, who's involved, what time of day did it happen? Was it daytime, nighttime? What time of year? Was it something that happens in the winter, or is this a problem that happens all year round? Is there a lighting solution? All of those things we brought to bear, and then we've gone out and we've actually put in everything that we could do with our existing resources. So over 400 upgraded crosswalks, 120 speed feedback signs, about 105 or so intersection treatments, and then the next phase is the signal work, the big time work that has some of the highest crash reduction factors. So that's been our approach to try and tackle this challenge, and it sounds to me like there is a need and that we haven't done the job that we should have done in pushing that data out and walking everybody through that data as much as we could. And so for that, I take responsibility, and we can certainly. Vision Zero is a long game, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to correct that and bring more and more folks in to look at things through a different lens. Now, as far as the list of streets in this report, that was really a collaborative effort by BOE, BSS, CAO, CLA, Mayor's Office to look at the factors that are identified here, to overlay where do we have failing pavement, where do we have safety projects that we think could be compelling, are we touching different parts of the city, and are we really demonstrating, are these good projects that will really demonstrate to the voters that the city takes it very seriously, that they chose to invest in us, right? And so we wanted to do projects that we could all be very proud of. When we say that when we go out and rip a street up, we want to leave it better than we found it, what do we mean? And so it was really that combination, and we relied on, some of those are quantitative and some of them are qualitative. Did I answer all of the questions?
It's certainly very helpful, thank you. And as I say, I'm wholly supportive of these projects for all of the reasons you've stated. I will say, though, that while I'm pleased to hear that you have considered some of the data factors that I would have wanted to look at, I mean, to be blunt about it, I've been trying to get this data for about 2 years now, and some of us are pretty good with data as well. And so I think it would be important for the entire council to have the benefit of that underlying supporting information so that we can make our own analyses and we can examine that data in different ways and come up with a potential different set of solutions that we would want to present to you as alternatives, so that our constituents would be able to better understand why are they being asked to go through a street being ripped up or being changed in some way, and be able to demonstrate to them those reasons. And there's another reason as well, which would be to the benefit of all of the staff sitting here, is that we can help identify deficiencies in that data. For example, in police reports that may be better digitalized, for example, with actual GPS locations so that we don't have to estimate based on the closest intersection, or the sorts of things that will enable all of us as one collective effort to hone in on the specific things that are causing people to die. The very specific things. Not the generic, not speed, distraction, but the specific thing on the specific block that we should spend money to fix. That's, I think, what everyone here wants to achieve, and we can really only do that if we have the benefit of the specificity of the data that will enable each of us to do that with our districts and otherwise, and as an entire system. So I don't want to belabor this more than I already have, but I again, for the third time, I'm going to support these recommendations. I would ask that the recommendation of the Transportation Committee be amended to include an instruction that the Council get a report back within 60 days with the data analysis and supporting documentation from the Department of Transportation on the selection criteria. And I would also like to have back from Street Services an alternative safety-oriented project list that might be submitted in the event that some of the proposed projects are deemed not acceptable by the state or are otherwise not supported by the data in the view of this body. I think it's important that we have a street services project list as a backup as well. So with that, I would support the Transportation Committee's recommendations and look forward to getting that more deeper report back in 60 days.
Thank you, Mr. Kukorian. Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. Kukorian, for bringing this report forward. And thank you to the panel and to you, Salita, for your focus on making our streets safer across the city, Vision Zero. Every constituent in my district, I think all residents of the city want all of our streets to be safer. And Mr. Kukorian hit up on a point that I want to hammer in on just a little bit more, and that is rely on the expertise at the local level. Rely on the expertise of the council members who have a real strong sense in many instances of the realities of certain streets that perhaps they travel through every day, and in my case, 25 years, Fletcher Drive. What I want to see is that when you decide on which criteria to follow based on online polling, that you also consider that perhaps the voices that you hear from the most aren't the ones who would be most affected by changes on the major corridors that we're focusing on. And you and I have talked about this. I would love to see this move in a direction where we actually can pioneer new ways of doing things. I think all of us are hyper aware of the winners and losers every time there is a road diet, right? And as I've said before, and I want to say it publicly, I would love to pioneer a new way where we know that road diets will make streets safer in many instances, but perhaps a road diet during rush hour is what really pushes people over the edge in our neighborhoods. If there is a way that we could do some sort of flex road diet in our major high-injury corridors that don't involve a road diet during rush hour traffic, I think we all know that certain times when they can be imposed, it will cause a regional traffic jam in the morning and in the afternoon. And no one wants that, but everyone does want safer streets. Secondly, I would like for all of the decision makers to consider public safety personnel, first responders, fire stations, police stations. In the case of Northeast, we've got both Fire Station 50 on one side of the river, Northeast Division on one side of the river. So if we do road diets on all of our bridges, you can see where this might go because they have to go to the other side. So really heavily consider the input of first responders, and don't just rely on some of the online responses you get from well-organized activists who have agendas that I won't judge because everyone wants a more bikeable, walkable city. But I think that we could develop a point of view where we're not always picking winners and losers when we do road narrowing. And I would love for us to think innovatively on how we can implement these safety changes. And I appreciate you hearing me out, and I also support your recommendations, Mr. Krikorian, on this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Mr. Krikorian?
No, I think I'm done.
You're good. Anyone else, members? Seeing none, go ahead.
Madam President, Mr. Krikorian needs a second for his verbal.
Oh, go ahead. Sounds like you have more than 1 second, sir.
Council is ready to vote whenever they are ready.
Is there anything else to add from staff? None? Okay. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. Thank you, Mr.
13
Vaughn.
ayes.
Thank you.
Send this urgent forthwith as the mayor is waiting to sign it so we can get it to the CTC.
Okay, we're going to have to take a vote on urgent forthwith. Let's open the vote. Open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bonner. What's next, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, council may adjourn and go back to the regular meeting, sir. Ma'am.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We have a number of speakers for general public comment. Sandra Diaz, are you here? Sandra Diaz? General public comment, is Sandra Diaz here? Jessica Meany, are you here? No. Is Sandra Diaz here? Followed by Jessica Meany and Emilia Crowdy. Go ahead.
Ready? Hi, ready? Okay, hi, good afternoon. I address you all today to speak in support of the motion to have the City of LA stand with TPS immigrants in the city. I am Vice President with SCIU, United Service Workers West. We represent janitors, security officers, airport workers, and entertainment workers throughout the whole state of California. And here in LA, many of you know our members, have seen them here in council many times. And we're here today because we think it's time for the city to lead. The city is one of the largest cities comprised of immigrants in the nation, and the state has stepped forward on a sanctuary, saying this is a sanctuary state. We're going to stand up and fight for our immigrant population, and the city has said so as well. And I think right now, especially as we see Trump get ready to separate families and to do flat-out threats to come and raid our state and our cities, we need our cities to stand up.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Our next speaker is Jessica Meany.
Not here.
She's not here. Thank you. Emilia Crowty, followed by Veronica Lagunas and David Huerta.
Good afternoon. My name is Emilia Crotty. I'm with Los Angeles Walks and the LA Vision Zero Alliance. I just want to comment immediately on something that was said a little bit earlier, that there are winners and losers in the road diet discussion. There are winners and losers on our streets every single day. Too often our losers are children, seniors, and our most vulnerable populations. I know because Los Angeles Walks organizes families for safe streets, families that have been immediately impacted by traffic violence. I want to invite you all to World Day of Remembrance on November 19th, when a local chapter of Families for Safe Streets will launch here in Los Angeles, and we'll be honoring the lives of 4 children who were killed. Aiden, who was 5, Jonathan, who was 14, Valentina, who was 16, and Zach, who was 7. So we'll be there on November 19th. We'll be sending invitations to all city council members, and we hope to see you there to recenter the Vision Zero discussion on the families who are impacted by this every single day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Veronica Lagunas, followed by David Huerta, Ada Briceño, and Dina Paredes.
Buenos días, nosotros estamos aquí en
Un
apoyo.
momentito, ¿necesita traducción?
Sí.
Un momentito, tenemos un traductor.
Mi nombre es Verónica Lagunas
Good morning, my name is Verónica Lagunas,
y vengo en apoyo a la moción que presentó el concejal Gil Cedillo.
and I am here in support in the motion from Councilman Gil Cedillo.
Yo soy una de las personas que tiene TPS y que sería afectada si llegan a quitarlo del TPS.
I am one of the persons that will be affected if they remove the TPS.
Prácticamente soy la que sostiene mi hogar, mis hijos nacieron aquí.
Practically, I support my house. My children were born here.
Llevamos 16 años en este país pagando impuestos y haciendo todo lo que la ley quiere.
We've been paying taxes for 16 years and doing what the law requires.
Y también colaboramos con nuestro local. Todos nosotros estamos activos, los tepecianos, para asistir en lo que se pueda.
And also we collaborate with whatever we can, and we help the people who have the TPS.
Solo necesitamos que consideren que ya necesitamos algo más que un permiso de trabajo.
We only want you to consider that we need more than a work permit.
Thank you very much. Gracias. David Huerta. David is not here. Ada Briceño. Ada. Followed by Dina Paredes and Iris Acosta.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Ada Briceño, and I'm co-president of Unite Here Local 11. Our union represents many housekeepers who clean your rooms after your hotel stay, the cooks who prepare your meals when you're traveling out of LAX, and the stadium attendants who serve your hot dogs when you're at the Dodgers. Ladies and gentlemen, we know the type of hateful climate that we're living in, and I don't want to use my time belaboring that point. What I want to focus on is what we're doing to fight back. I'm glad to hear that this council is going to be taking the first steps in passing a resolution for many of the TPS recipients who call the city of Los Angeles their home. As a person who migrated from Nicaragua, I know the personal violence and poverty that has been inflicted on many Latin American countries, El Salvador, Honduras, Haiti, and others who also have TPS are no different than the place I used to call my home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Edina Paredes.
Necesito un traductor.
Un
Buenos
momentito.
días.
Our translator, please. And Iris Acosta, are you here? Todavía no, nomás la señora Paredes.
Preséntese, señor.
Hola, yo me llamo Dina Paredes.
Hi, my name is Dina Paredes.
Soy recamarera.
I am a housekeeper.
Vine del Salvador hace más de 20 años.
I came from El Salvador more than 20 years ago.
Vine a este país, fue la mejor decisión de mi vida desde que llegué del Salvador.
It was the best decision of my life to come to this country since I came from El Salvador.
Yo he puesto raíces en este país.
I have grown roots in this country.
Tengo 2 hijos.
I have 2 children.
Y sería muy difícil para mí y mi familia regresar a El Salvador.
And it would be very difficult for me and my family to go back to El Salvador.
La pobreza y la violencia está peor desde que yo me vine.
Poverty and violence is worse since when I came here.
Mr. Herman, please leave. Can you escort Mr. Herman out of the building, please? He's being disruptive and continues to yell in the middle of our general public speaker. Mr. Herman, thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Inmediatamente.
Un momentito. Aquí hay falta de respeto en el concilio. Por favor, siga.
Inmediatamente pienso en el futuro de mis hijos.
I immediately think about the future of my children.
Yo vine a los Estados Unidos para escapar de la pobreza y la violencia y yo no intento poner a mis hijos.
I came to the United States escaping from violence and poverty, and I don't want to place my children
en la pobreza y la violencia.
In poverty and violence.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias, señor.
Ajá. El próximo, Iris Acosta, next speaker. ¿Necesita traducción? Okay.
Mi nombre es Iris Acosta.
My name is Iris Acosta.
Trabajo en W de Westwood de Hollywood.
I work at W in Westwood, Hollywood.
Soy recamarera y soy recipiente de TPS.
I am a housekeeper and I am a TPS recipient.
Soy sobreviviente de cáncer.
I am a cancer survivor.
Le pido pues que tengan compasión de nosotros, los TPS.
I ask you to have compassion for those who have the TPS.
Yo dependo de mi trabajo y dependo de mi seguranza médica.
I rely from my job and my insurance.
Porque necesito mi medicamento y soy soporte de mi familia en mi país.
Because I need my medicines and I support my family back in my country.
Yo soy hondureña.
I am from Honduras.
Y quisiera que nos dieran una reforma migratoria justa, ya lo merecemos.
And I would like us to have a fair, just reform.
Muchas gracias. I just want to note, Madam City Attorney, that Mr. Herman was interrupting our general public speaker named Edina Paredes. Okay, thank you very much. I just
Thank
need
you,
to
Madam
make sure
President.
that's on the record. That concludes our general public speakers. Members, are there any announcements? Seeing none, can we all please rise, including our audience, for adjourning motions? Madam Clerk, can we also post and refer?
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you. Members, are there any adjourning motions on my left? Seeing none, any adjourning motions on my right? Thank you very much. That adjourns our meeting.